All right, guys, we're going to use the beauty dish again. So if you haven't watched the beauty dish video yet, go watch that one first. So you got to see that before we launch into this because it'll help a lot. We're changing our setup a little bit. We're going to use 3 lights. We're going to do one of the most popular lighting setups that you see right now. Very, very popular with celebrities, album covers, CD covers, digital music covers, whatever you want to call them. There's a word for them, but anyway. You see a lot of celebrity shots with these, a lot of sports portraits and things like that. And what it is, it's very, very hard-edged light. We can really get away with that when we're shooting, especially with shooting pictures of guys. But it's also becoming very, very popular with shots of women as well. And it is a 3-light setup. We're using the beauty dish up front, and then we have 2 lights in the back. And they're kind of crisscrossing. They're going to light both sides of your subject with a very, very hard, very, very direct, very dark edge light. So what I have here is, this is what really makes the backlights work. It's called a honeycomb grid. Now they come in different degrees, all right? They'll be in 10 degree, and the degree determines, you know, the lower number makes it a thinner grid, and then a wider grid, and then a little bit wider grid. So you're going to put this onto the reflector. Now, since we're using Elechrome lights, we have these little grids that actually snap right into them. So that's the key. You have a strobe in the back, it has a reflector on it, and then the grid goes on that. So this will snap the grid in back here. Let me just walk over here, dropping stuff as I walk. And we're just going to snap this right into here, like that. And again, so the reflector was going to send the light out this wide. We put the grid in it, and all of a sudden, boom, it comes in, and you can really aim them. Now, speaking of aiming, this is where the modeling lights really pay off. When you have your subject in here, which we're going to bring our subject in, Jared, in just a moment, when we bring him in, we can use the modeling lights to kind of position where the light goes. And this is what the look of this is. Behind him, really, really bright light. It doesn't matter if it clips a little bit. Really, really bright light on this side from the back. Then in the front, you don't need that much light. You need very, very little light actually in the front because they're really, the main lights, the real key lights in this are the back lights, and this is just a fill up front. And you're going to have your subject stand right here. And so the key part of this, and what takes the time, is really just positioning those back lights. This is kind of just right above their head at a 45-degree angle. I have the sock on now. We can take the sock off and try it with the sock off. I probably wouldn't take the sock off generally if I'm shooting a woman, but with a man, the sock can come off and it can be a little more gritty. Now, what problems are you likely to run into with this? So in this case, if I put my subject here and I have one light aiming this way, look where the light aiming. It's aiming that way. This light's aiming kind of over that way. If these wind up coming too far forward, you're going to get lens flare back in your camera. And just depending on how big your studio is or where your subject is, you might have to do that. If that's the case, then what we can do is we're going to put up what are called flags. They're just literally pieces of black material. So I'm kind of creating a wall here. So you're going to shoot through this wall, and this is going to kind of help protect that one, and this protects that one. So if you're shooting and I can see the lights, then I know I need to move these in a little bit. And I'm going to shoot right in between them. I don't want to see the lights. If I don't see the lights and they can't see my camera, see, all I see now through is where the subject's going to stand. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring Jared in. Again, I just want to make it really clear about these. We only need these if there's a lens flare. The way we've aimed those, we don't even really need them at all. But I'll show you real quick. Hi, Jared. I would only need these if I'm shooting through this way, like this, then I would use it. But if in this case I'm not going to have it, I think it'll be easier for you to see the scene if I move them. And I don't. And again, look where the lights are aiming. So they're not really aiming back at the camera. They're actually aiming kind of crisscrossing. All right. And look at the modeling lights. You can see right now what the look is going to be before I even fire. You can see from the modeling lights. You can see on this side of his face we have the bright light. On the left side of his face we got the bright light. And you can see a little fill coming from here. What you're seeing from the modeling lights is what you're going to actually see from the shot. So now I'm going to back off and we're going to go ahead and take a couple of shots. And I don't mind if the back is going to clip a little. And let's look at our settings. 7200 lens, my same workhorse lens. I'm out at, say, 135. I usually like to go a little higher. Well, actually, I'm at about 150 millimeter. I like to be on that far end of the lens. I like to be between maybe 150 and 200. We're in manual mode. I'm at 125th of a second. You've heard that a million times. Now, because I'm using a beauty light, because it's so close to Jared, I can't be running this at f5.6. I already know this is going to have to be higher. I'm going to try, let's try f11 and see what we've got. Okay, ready? Here we go, Jared. Let me have you cross your arms. Turn your body a little sideways. There we go. Very nice. Perfect. Very good. All right, now I'm just going to work with the subject for a second to get a couple more shots. but the lighting's pretty much in place. Now we just have a couple of choices. Do I want to light the background? Do I want to make it gray? Do I want to increase my shutter speed and make it darker behind him? So there's just a couple of things that we could do to tweak this, or do we want to just get rid of the background altogether? I kind of like this gray. It looks pretty good. And let's get a couple more of these. Very good. Now I'm doing kind of a more 3/4 length here. Nice, very good. Chin down just a little bit. There you go. Perfect. Very nice. Let's just check. The one thing I'm worried about is let's make sure we're getting some light up in the eyes. Okay, the one thing that we could do is, if we wanted to get a little more light in there, we have to be careful we're not throwing it, is to put a reflector in up under them. So let me grab a reflector real quick. We're going to put a silver reflector up under him just to bring a little more light. I just don't want to get too much dark in there, but I also don't want this to turn into a beauty shoot even though we're using a beauty dish. So let me bring in this, and then I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to have Brad just hold it here, and we're going to get up a little tighter. There we go. Good, Brad, right there. Perfect. Let me see what that does for the light in his eyes. Okay, it's actually too much. Brad, I'm just going to have you lower it a bit. And let's see how that does. That's better. I'm at the very bottom. Okay, all right. So I'm at 1.8 up top on my strobe. It's a little too bright up top now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to group 1. Switch this to group. And I'm going to take it down from 1.8, 1.7, 1.6, 1.5. So 3 clicks on the minus button. Turn it back to all. Put that in place, Brad. Nailed it. That was it. Thank you, Brad. That looks great. Okay, so that's the setup. I'm going to try one last thing. Brad, can we take the sock off? I just want you guys to be able to see the sock does soften it. And with Jared, he's got such great skin. I want to, and when you're retouching guys, you can really let it go. And it got a little edgier. You can see the modeling light got a little edgier. Let's take a look. Woo, that's edgy city. This looks good. I got kind of spoiled by Brad's reflector though now. Let me just take a couple tall here. I'm not going to make him bring it back in, but nice. Great. There you have it. It's not a hard setup. It's actually a very easy setup. You're going to spend your time mostly just balancing the lights, balancing the power of the left, the right, and the front one. Thank you, Jerry.